Ladies and gentlemen, everybody at Pikes Pub and everybody watching along on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. This is Jawn Street Hockey. I am the mayor of Jawn Street, Sean Campbell, joined by my buddy Kevin Curly McHugh. Kevin, how you doing, buddy?
It's great to be back for our second time here. Really looking forward to this game. Hopefully, we can get a nice dub for Homer and Talk and get the ball rolling again after a tough week.
Absolutely. So we're taking on Calgary tonight. So this is going to be a really quick pregame show going on here tonight. We're getting ready for puck drop here in just a couple of minutes. For those of you watching along at home, you just saw a beautiful ceremony for Rick Tocchet and Paul Holmgren, two guys that have given so much to the Flyers fan base and organization. Homer, obviously, in a GM, head coach, assistant coach, and player role, and Tocchet for everything he did as a player. Kevin, what's your overall thoughts going into this game here?
Uh, well, obviously, the offense needs to get going. We're averaging less than 2 goals a game over like the last 11 games. Uh, the power play obviously has been a big part of that. Like we were talking about on last night's episode, when you're giving up. Oh, Olivia said hi, Kevin. No, thanks, Olivia. I appreciate you. Uh, when you're giving up better chances to the opposing team's penalty kill than you're getting on the power play, it's a big problem, and it's no reason that the offense has been struggling since the power play has been struggling. So if we're gonna get out of this dry spell and start scoring some goals, the power play is gonna have to start clicking, and that means Joel Farabee and Travis Konechny are gonna have to start producing goals again. They've had have had 1 goal in the last 10 games, and that just can't be the case if we're going to be successful.
Absolutely.
Like, not one
Kev,
bit.
you got a lot of fans checking in tonight. Matthew Garvin checking in
Unpopular.
3 times on Facebook, says, hey, Kev, hey, and hey, you. We're getting to you, I promise.
Yeah, no, that's pay no attention to him.
Absolutely. So for those of you watching along at home, don't forget to drop all your comments, concerns, and questions about tonight's game down below in the comment section. With that being said, Kev, I agree 100%. It starts with the power play tonight, and it starts on offense. We've played well defensively. The goaltending's been everything that you can ask for thus far, and we need to wake up on the offensive side of the puck. There's no two ways about it. You win this game by putting the biscuit in the basket, and unfortunately, there's been a drastic lack of that thus far over the past week here.
Well, the good news is the Flames aren't as hot as they were when we saw them the first time we lost 4-0. They're 2-3 in their last 7 games.
And we're also not coming off
right.
of a back-to-back.
Markstrom hasn't been as sharp recently, so that's good. Obviously, the Flyers are 5th in goals against per game. So obviously, Carter Hart has been playing extremely well. We're going to be leaning on him again, especially if we can't score more than 2 goals. But again, I don't see us winning 2-1 games very often. So we're going to have to score at least 3 goals tonight to win this game. Can they break through? I think so. I hope so. Ryan Ellis was put on long-term injury reserve today, so that's going to be a hurt on the back end. Justin Braun has been stepping up so far. Can he continue to play those first pair of minutes? I don't know. We'll see. But this is another tough week coming up. This is probably the easier of the next 3 games. So you would like to get at least 2 points out of here and come away with the W.
Absolutely. You touched on Justin Braun there, who is a guy that we've seen, obviously, in years past, that when you do lean on him to play an expanded role, he does tend to crumble. He's not a guy that is necessarily your every night top pair defenseman. He's been that so far, filling in for Ryan Ellis, but can he sustain it while Ellis continues to rehab this pesky groin injury? I don't know. Hopefully they can do that tonight. Hopefully Braun continues playing the way that he has. And as a whole, hopefully we can keep this explosive offense. At least the first 2 lines are an explosive offense for the Flames to the outside. Keep as much rubber off of Carter Hart as we can. And as you said, walk away with 2 points.
Well, I think if anything, I think it's going to put more pressure on Ivan Provorov and the second pair to really step up. Provorov is now thrusted into the 1A role where we thought he was going to be more of a 1B this year to Ryan Ellis. Now he's back to being a 1A, which people have questioned whether or not he can sustain being a 1A or if he really is. So that's going to put a lot of pressure on him. Ristolainen and the Sandheim pair are going to have to step up and continue playing well because they're going to be getting more minutes with Ryan Ellis out because you're not going to be giving it to Nick Sealer and Justin Braun. So,
I have one other guy that needs to step up, and he's not wearing skates. He's wearing dress shoes and a tie. His name's Mike Yo. He needs to get this power play going. Um, as we mentioned earlier on in the show, he is lacking in the power play department. The team as a whole has struggled on special teams. The penalty kill's been great, but particularly the power play. And I would love to see, with Ryan Ellis being out, I would love to see Keith Yandel back on that top D pair on the power play. He's a power play specialist. He's a puck moving defenseman. That's what you brought him here to do. And as I mentioned in yesterday's show, to bench him on the power play for his 5-on-5 play, when you know damn well you signed him to be a power play specialist, I think is just asinine, and it's not something that should happen, and it's something that needs to be rectified tonight in this game. I need to see Keith Yandel quarterback in that first power play unit. That's what you brought him here to do.
yeah, right. And if it's not going to be Keith Yandel and you were going to make a switch, it would be Ryan Ellis. But obviously, like we just said, he's not going to be around for a while. And to be honest, I don't know what the problem with the power play is. Like, you look at the the players that they have, they're skillful enough to get the job done up there. And for some reason, it's just an absolute mess. They can't get into the zone. I don't know if it's Mike Yo. People have been calling for him to be fired. I don't think that's going to happen. AV likes his staff. Something has to change. Whether they're continuing to switch up the mix, maybe move Farabee up to the first power play. He's been struggling. They've tried to get him going. Oscar Lindblom is a healthy scratch tonight. Uh, AV said it was more of a reset for him. So I'm not sure who's playing in his place actually.
Yeah, I haven't looked into the lineups yet tonight either. We'll definitely see in a couple of minutes here when they drop the puck. But I do think it's a wake up call that Oscar needs. We talked about it last night on last night's show. If you didn't listen to it, go ahead and give it a quick listen. We recap everything that happened last week. But with that being said, we touched on it last night. Oscar Lindblom has been everything you could ask for in terms of a checking forward, but he just hasn't been bringing it on the offensive side of the puck. The production is not there. I'm not asking him to be a 30 goal scorer, but I need him somewhere in between 20 and 25 goals a season. And if he's not doing that, he's at least got to dish the puck to guys like Lawton, who we've seen early on this season can bury the puck.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a more than a few opportunities to get a goal in Lindblom. He just couldn't cash in for whatever reason. I thought he's put himself in good spots to be successful. Now over the last game or two, he hasn't been very good. He went -4 in that Dallas game. Uh, but for
Everybody was a minus
Yeah,
in that
right.
game,
But for
just
me,
about.
I'm not as disappointed with him. My expectations for him, I feel like I view him more as like a 15 to 20 goal guy. Uh, I think what we saw before his diagnosis was kind of more just like a hot streak and the advantage of playing on the first line with Coots and TK. I think he can play there if you're in a pinch and you need him to, but I don't think he's really a top
Oh,
six
that's definitely
forward.
not his best role. I mean,
Right
a
now.
team that's going to contend for a Stanley Cup has Oscar
And if he
Lindblom
were to end up
as a
being a
third or
fourth
fourth line
liner,
forward.
if he were to end up being a fourth liner, he could be on my fourth line till that the end of time. Like, it's not going to bother me. So for me, like I said, TK and Farabee are a much bigger issue for me. They can't both go have one goal in 10 game stretches like for the season. Like, that's just not going to work. We're relying on them to be our goal scorers too much. Like, it's nice that G's scoring, but he's not going to lead your team in goals. Like, we know what G is. He's more of a playmaker. Uh, Couturier is probably more of a 20 to 25 goal scorer than a 30 goal scorer. And Atkinson, I guess we'll see. He had a 42 goal season a few years ago. He started out hot. He's been a little slow, but hopefully with Kevin Hayes back and playing on that line with him, he can get him going again.
For sure. And we keep harping back to the fact that the offense needs to wake up here tonight. And that's really going to be the key to tonight's game is just to score more goals. I know that sounds silly. That's the goal in every game, right? Score more goals than the opposition. But when you've been struggling like they have been on offense, this is a good position for the team to wake up on the offensive side of the puck again. I mean, it's Hall of Fame night. They're inducting Tockett and Homer into the Flyers Hall of Fame. if there's ever a time to come out with some fire in your ass and to bury the biscuit, tonight's the night. And I hope that they do it tonight in front of the home fans.
Well, they got to get inside the high danger areas, inside the slot. They got to crash the net, which they haven't been doing. Earlier in the season, they were scoring off the rush a lot. Their shooting percentage was pretty high, and they've cooled off in that regard. Mostly because they're not breaking out as well and they're not getting up ice as quickly. So
Correct, and it's the same issue with the power play as well. We're not establishing zone time. We're not spending any time in the offensive zone. We're hoping to score everything off of the rush. We're not getting set up. We're not getting quality chances, shots on net, and for a team that has plenty of guys that are great at deflecting the puck out in front, guys like JVR and TK, we don't shoot for deflections. We're not shooting, to try and get those tips out in front and cause havoc in the blue paint. Um, you got anything before we go, Kev? We're getting ready to drop the puck here in a couple.
one issue I have on the power play, especially with TK, is I feel like he's supposed to be like one of your primary goal scorers. He's supposed to be, a shooter. And I feel like on the power play, he's how often do you see Travis Konecny take a shot on the power play? You know what I mean? I feel like I never see it. I couldn't tell you the last time I seen him try to one time a puck. That's for sure. So I think with him, he needs to. I think we need to give him the puck more on the first unit, have him be a little bit more aggressive in terms of shooting.
Absolutely. One last thing before we go. I'm going to put you on the spot here. Who's your standout guy tonight? Who are you expecting a big game from?
You might rip me for this pick because it's probably the easy pick, but I'm gonna go with Carter Hart.
Kevin, once again, wearing water wings. He's waiting in the shallow end of the pool. He's afraid to jump in with both feet off the diving
Like, who
board.
do you want? Like, do you want me
But
to pick
that's
a
what I'm
third
here
liner?
for,
Do you want me to pick
folks.
a third or fourth
I
liner to make you feel better? Like, I'm
No, you
picking
don't
the
have to
good
pick a
players.
third or fourth liner, but you can't pick the guy that's been the first star in the last 3 games that we've won. It's an easy pick.
It's a correct pick.
We're analysts. We have
It's a
to
correct pick.
analyze the team.
It's a correct
Anybody
pick.
anybody can look at the box score and say, "Yeah, Carter Hart's going to have a great game. I expect him to lead the team tonight." Anybody can say that.
Yeah, but he's going to.
That's fine, but who's a guy that you think's going to stand out other than the guy that stood out every time he's touched the ice this year?
TK, is that acceptable, or is he too much of
Yes.
a first line player for you?
No, that's perfect. And as a matter of fact, TK was going to be my guy because he's playing against one of the Kachuk brothers who we've seen love the chirp. They love to play a physical game, which plays right into TK's hands. I think this is a game that TK gets rolling. He gets fired up playing against one of the yeah, Kachuk brothers. And with that being said, I think we're ready to start the first period here. Shout out to everybody that checked in on Facebook, Twitter, and now YouTube. And shout out to everybody here at Pikes Pub in beautiful Southampton, Pennsylvania, right on 2nd Street Pike. Make sure to pop on out to Pikes Pub and grab a beer and a bite. Watch the hockey game with us. And it doesn't just have to be when we're here, right? You can come out anytime to Pikes Pub, grab a beer and a bite, watch college football, college hoops, pro, amateur, whatever you want. There's always sports on the tube, and there's always cold beer on tap here at Pikes Pub. We'll see you guys after the first period. And just like that, we're back live at Pikes Pub in beautiful Southampton, Pennsylvania. Pikes Pub makes some noise for Jawn Street Hockey and the Philadelphia Flyers. Unfortunately, I wish we could have cheered like that had the Flyers scored. We are coming in down one after one um, after some terrible performances on the power play by the Philadelphia Flyers. We went 0 for 4, and there was a stint in there where we had a two-man advantage. Absolutely terrible. You cannot win hockey games like that. You can't win in any sports if you can't master the special teams, particularly in hockey. 0 for 4 on the power play. Absolutely terrible. Kevin, what's your thoughts coming in after the first period?
Well, it's kind of the same problem. We were outshot at 12-11, which doesn't look that bad, but we didn't have that many prime scoring opportunities. Konechny had the one right before our first power play where he just was wide open in front of the net and sent it wide. Coots had that chance on the power play where he was able to get that short side, and Markstrom was able to get the pad over. But it's the same story that it's been for the last about 10 games. Flyers not capitalizing on their power play, gave up a 2-on-1 on their power play. They think, like we said during the pregame, they're giving up better opportunities while they're on the power play than they're getting, and it's continuing to be a problem. They're down 1-0 so far. The only game they've come back to win when they've been down in a game was against Carolina. So the Flyers haven't been very good when they've been scored on first. So hopefully we can turn that around tonight.
Absolutely. They have done a solid job so far of taking care of the puck. They haven't given the puck away any. They do have a handful of takeaways. Calgary gave away the puck three times in that game so far. But again, you're not really going to have that many giveaways when you spend most of it on the power play, which again was piss poor. Face-off percentage, we're coming in at 63%, which is really good. I mean, 63 to 38 in terms of face-off percentages, which is phenomenal. That's going to help you establish some zone time and some possession. But if you don't do anything with it and you don't get the puck on net, no good things will happen. We need some more shots on goal. We need a concerted effort to shoot the puck, much like early on in the season. We've showed a great ability to possess this shoot first mentality early on in the season, right? And I just haven't seen that in the last couple of games. And we got a little bit of it on early on in the first period here tonight. But overall, we haven't seen much of it tonight after say maybe 5 minutes of the first period.
Well, there's a lot of problems, right? Like we're not getting high danger chances. We're not getting inside the slot, and we're not getting a lot of bodies in front. And then if you want to talk about the breakout, there's a lot of times where we go to break out, and then we have to wheel back and reset because our breakout isn't clean enough. And it's all resulting in the Flyers struggling offensively. And so far, I mean, we've been getting great goaltending from Carter Hart and even Martin Jones this year, but you're not going to win in this league when you're averaging less than 3 goals a game. Now, how will the rest of this game turn out? I don't know, but so far we're seeing more of the same. Kevin Hayes had a key turnover on our third power play when he tried to send a center ice pass across that was picked off and sent down. Um, we're gonna have to figure that out, and they're gonna have to figure out a way to get into the slot and get more traffic in front of Markstrom, which they haven't been very successful at in a couple weeks now.
Absolutely. And you touched on net front traffic there real quick, which I mean, that you need to do that. You need to get bodies in front of the net, especially when you're playing a guy like Markstrom, who's been hot so far early this season. The only way to get pucks past him is to create that chaos in the blue paint, and we just have not done that so far. Um, you know, the power play in particularly, like you have to get some big bodies out in front to tip pucks, especially if the only shots you're getting on the power play are coming from the point.
Yeah, like even during the power play, Keith Yandel had 2 or 3 rips from the point, which is fine. He doesn't have the best shot. I'd like to see Farabee or G taking those one timers, but they're trying to get pucks to the net. They're just not like JVR and Coots aren't doing a good enough job of getting themselves in position to screen the goalie and create havoc. And then on top of that, when they are getting the shots on net and they're there, they're not doing a good job at chasing down the pucks off the rebound. They're getting beat to those pucks, which is allowing Calgary to clear the zone more easily. They come in with a top 12 penalty kill. The the Flyers right now are 22nd on the power play. They started out the season hot. They were rocking at a 40% clip for a little while,
And then they
and
got
then
figured out
yeah,
because it's the same old approach and they don't change anything up.
well,
Like, don't get me wrong, I love G at the top of that circle, but everybody knows it's coming. It's been the same power play approach with G on that top circle for, I don't know, 5, 6 years.
well,
Everybody knows it's coming.
yeah,
It's
right.
so easy to defend something when you know what's coming. I mean, you throw it over to the Houston Astros. It's a lot easier to hit a changeup when you know what's coming.
Yeah, and we talked about this the last show. They're not working the puck behind the net anymore. Earlier in the year on the power play, they had a man set up behind the net, and they were doing a lot of passes out from behind the net for one timers, which they're not even trying to get the puck behind the net anymore. And it seems like when they're getting pressured, when they're playing an aggressive penalty kill, they kind of fumble the puck, and they're unsure of where to go when they're
They're
trying to make
definitely
quick
easily
decisions.
pressured on
And
the
it's
puck.
just they're not in sync, and you could attribute it to Mike Yo. I know him and Michelle Therrien have both taken a lot of heat, but with the way AV works, I doubt we're going to see either of them go at any point in the season, whether they struggle or not. Just with the way that because AV has a thing with these guys, they've been around for a while. He's known
Well,
them
I,
for a
I
while.
told you in our show last night, if the power play keeps on like this, Mike Yo is gone by the trade deadline. No doubt in my mind.
I'd like to say that he will be if it's continuing to be this bad. I just don't have any confidence that they'll make the move to get rid of him, similar to when Hextall was here and there was so much hesitancy from him to get rid of Hackstall when things were going bad, and it wasn't until after he
That
got
was different,
fired.
though. That team wasn't ready to win. This team is ready to win for the most part. This team has been assembled for a deep playoff run, and there's no need to sit around and wait and be too patient to the point where it pushes you past where you need to be. Like, if this team needs a new voice in that room in those special teams meetings in regards to the power play, then I think they need to pull the trigger. And I'm not the guy that that hits the panic button super early. I think that everybody needs time to kind of gain cohesion and get their wheels under them and get moving and start to feel that the flow of the game and the flow together and the chemistry. But I'm not seeing any of it, and I'm not seeing any adjustment either. The power play looks the exact same, and it has as long as Yo's been here, and we need something different. And we talked about it last night. I'm not expecting them to get away from the umbrella approach because it does work in the National Hockey League, but clearly we can't execute it. And I put that on coaching. I put that on Mike Yo solely.
Yeah, I think there's plenty of blame to go around, and Mike Yo is the first person you look at as because a lot of the players we have been successful on the power play before. So it's not like it's something that we should be expecting. Mike Yo, since he came in, the power play's been very up and down. Now, you used to have Voracek running that opposite side. He was never much of you know, a shooter, but he was great at the cross ice passes on the power play, getting the goalie moving side to side. That's exactly right. Like there wasn't a shooter on the line. They did do a better job of getting the goalie moving east to west. But when you're not getting quality shots on net and bodies in front of the net, like it really doesn't matter how you're moving the puck.
Right. Well, and it's even still the same. Like, even though you don't have Voracek on that opposite circle with the cross ice pass, it's still the same old shot from Giroux. It's still G hits the one timer from the top of the circle, and like I
Well,
said earlier, you know it's coming. There's no different look. That is the consistent shot. That's the only high quality shot that you're getting on the power play. And honestly, it's a lot easier if you're a goalie to cheat to that corner if you know that G's going to rip a clapper from that side.
well, he doesn't even really rip the clapper as often as I'd even like him to. Earlier in their year, he was shooting a lot more in the power play. He faked this out on the very last power play. He had a pretty good opportunity to wind up for a slap shot and end up being a slap pass that went to nobody. So I'd prefer him to see him take more of those shots, which he's not doing. Everyone appears to be a little gun shy, but even outside of the power play, just in their regular 5-on-5 play, they're not getting as many rush goals as they were getting earlier in the year on 2-on-1s or 3-on-2s. They're like I said earlier, their shooting percentage has gone drastically down from the beginning of the year. They were getting a lot of those goals off the rush because they were creating turnovers in the neutral zone and getting up ice quickly, even though they're not the fastest team. And that's just not happening at the moment. Now, with that being said, I will give them kind of a break because I'm not expecting to see the best of this team till around the break or maybe after the break. So I don't like again. I don't think we're seeing a finished product, and especially with waiting for Kevin Hayes to get back to 100% from his core muscle injury,
Well, I
which
could
can
dive
be
into
one of the
that take
more.
with both feet and a machete, but I'm not going to because the puck's about to drop on the second period. Real quick before we go into the second period, I'm just going to give my Hubba Hubba key to the second period. That's sponsored by Hubba Hubba Hoagies on Woodburn Road in Langhorne, Pennsylvania. The only hoagies that make you say Hubba Hubba. And that is time in the offensive zone. That's going to be the key to winning this second period. You need to establish zone time on offense, and you need to put pressure on the goalie. That being said, guys, we will see you back after the second period, hopefully with the Flyers on top. going. Yeah, yeah, I got. I know you're credentialed. Ho! And just like that, we are back here live at Pikes Pub. Once again, Pikes Pub in beautiful Southampton, Pennsylvania, right on 2nd Street Pike. Great place to grab a beer and a bite with your buddies. Just like everybody out at the bar, as you can see here on the live stream, we got the bar buzzing here out at Pikes Pub. With that being said, the boys were buzzing a little bit. We're coming in tied up 1-1 after two. We got a brand new game, folks. Brand new game on Hall of Fame night in Philadelphia. Kevin, welcome back. How was your bathroom trip? Turn your mic on. Come on.
Very, very satisfying.
Act like you've been there before.
I have a time or two. It's great to have Frankie on here. Always a pleasure having him on. Always brings good takes. Great period by the Flyers. They showed a lot more desperation and hunger in this period, I thought. Big goal by Kevin Hayes. Excited to see more. Frankie, how you doing?
Well, I'll let him introduce me first, and then we got.
He's not doing as good as you are, pal. You're fucking pickled up here, eh?
I'm doing good.
So I guess I'll bring him in now. Frankie Steskel, Frankie James from the Flyers Nitty Gritty, Old City Sports Network, and the Frank the Tank podcast, Dusty Buttes. What don't you do, Frankie?
Oh man,
Talk into the microphone.
Oh, absolutely. There's not much I don't do. I write.
You do this on your show too, dude. You got to talk into the microphone.
Yeah, well, I'm getting excited sometimes. I'm nervous. Thanks for having me on. I feel like it's always a good time when I'm with the mayor and Kevin, and it's always good to be here back at the Pikes Pub. Thanks for having me on. Cigar, I love it.
Absolutely. Oh, dude, it's all about Stogs and beers here on the Jawn Street Hockey podcast. But more importantly, it's about hockey. We're coming back in. Like I said, we're tied up after the second period here. The boys are showing a little bit more enthusiasm here. They're getting some shots on net. Scored a goal, beautiful goal by Kevin Hayes. Went to go for the cross ice pass, comes right back to him on the deflection, buries the puck, and throws it up to his brother Jimmy. So huge shout out to Kevin Hayes, and it's got to be great to get a goal for your brother.
Yeah, it was really touching. Obviously, that was such a huge tragedy during the offseason and everything. And, you know, Hayes has worked his way back from that injury. He had to go down to the dressing room towards the end there on a play during the power play. Hopefully, he's okay. I don't think we can afford to have him out for another extended period of time. But one thing that can't go unnoticed was Ristolainen's play at the blue line to keep that puck in to force that 2-on-1 down low where Kevin Hayes eventually scored. Ristolainen looking real strong. The second pair looking strong, which they're going to need to step up and do with the absence of Ryan Ellis and them getting more minutes.
Absolutely. Jesse Bell from Old City Sports checking in. Jesse, what's going on? Jesse from Delco. Shout out Old City Sports. Make sure you go over and give Jesse a follow on Twitter and follow the Old City Sports Network.
Jesse has his own Twitter now too. Jesse from Delco. Can't believe it. He finally got his own Twitter.
Jesse, don't put up for that. You don't got to let him chirp you like that. Speaking of the Old City Sports Network, Frankie, now is the time. Let us know what you got going on. I know there's a big event going on December 4th with the Old City Sports Network. All the proceeds are going to a great cause. So go ahead and fill us in on what's going on.
Yeah, man, I really appreciate you letting me be able to do that. Obviously, thank you to you because you one of our first donations, as always expected. Listen, we all eat. We have a great prize from you. Round of golf with the mayor, beers, laughs, all the whole nine. So part of the network, the Old City Sports Network, we have a great show on there, Flyers Alley. Give them a follow at Flyers Alley. One of the co-hosts on Flyers Alley, his father was recently diagnosed with cancer. So we have a big event coming up December 4th at Iceworks in Ashton. huge event, podcasting for cancer. I actually have tickets for the event. All proceeds are going to Jake's father, who was diagnosed with cancer. We have a couple shows going on Flyers Alley. My show, Dusty Buttes, will be going, and we'll have another one. Uh, Flyers alumni will be there. I'm going to have Frankie the Animal Biologist on my show coming on. We will have Zach Kinderchuk coming on Flyers Alley. If everybody knows, my father was a hockey player podcast. He'll go on with Flyers Alley, and we have some really other good surprises, great raffles. It's going to be a great time at Iceworks, December 4th. I have tickets. Please, definitely, even if you can't make it, buy a ticket. All goes to our good friend Jake Long's father's cancer treatment.
Absolutely, that goes out for everybody at the bar too. Don't forget if you want to support a wonderful family going through a hard time, make sure to see Frankie. Purchase a ticket for this wonderful event. Um, Once again, all money going back towards the Long family during this very difficult time.
Yeah, and I'll add this in there for everybody that hears. Um, if we sell five tickets for this event, I'll give you guys a little ticket that we have up here, and the winner will win a pair of Flyers tickets on behalf of the Flyers. That's how much we want to push this event. So 5 tickets we sell, and obviously more than that, there'll be an additional ticket. But 5 people buy. Those are great calls. You'll get a raffle, and for tickets after the new year. That's how much this means to us. That being said, boys, love you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on again, Frank. Don't forget to check out all of his wonderful writing with Flyers Nitty Gritty,
And Bleacher
Oak
Report.
City Sports Network, all featured on Bleacher Report. Um, he's going to kill me if I don't put this out there. He is a credentialed writer for the Flyers, in case you didn't know. But if you're listening to this show, you know Frankie. He's on all the time. He's a credentialed writer. Um, Loves to have his ego stroked off, obviously. So with that being said, everybody make sure you hit Frankie up, buy some tickets for this wonderful event. And as he said, if we sell 5 tickets tonight, we're willing to put up a set of tickets to a Flyers game. So go ahead and see Frankie for those tickets. That being said, let's dive back into the game here. It was overall just a concerted effort to get pucks on net and to get some quality scoring chances, I feel. I think AV probably had some fiery words for the boys coming in after the first period, and it definitely shows. We came out with a fire in the second period that I just did not see in the first period. Definitely geared more towards the offensive zone. I will say though, I don't know how I feel about trading punches with this high flying offense. It definitely seems a lot like a vintage Tyson fight. Like we're just gonna throw haymakers at each other and see who gets knocked out first. And that's a game that I don't typically like to play.
Yeah, well, I've said this before. Even when the Flyers, during the first 5 games, were averaging over 4 goals a game. That's just not who we are. Now we have to be more than 2 and some change goals per game team, but we're not a 4 goal per game team even at our peak. So I'm not particularly in favor of trading chances with team and playing that running gun offense. I think we have to be more of a team that gets in on the forecheck, really pounds the other defenseman, and creates our chances in front of the net with traffic. We were able to create some chances off the rush, getting some turnovers in the neutral zone. Travis Konechny and Brassard had a 2-on-1 where Konechny took the shot. It was a nice save by Markstrom. We've even given up some chances, and Carter Hart's come up big. Actually, Jesse Bell commented and said, recent comment, what do you say? Working on more alumni as well. Going to be great. Thanks
That's
for
for
the
the
plug, guys.
Iceworks
Okay.
Event.
Yeah, Jesse Bell, good dude. But yeah, I think that they did a better job getting up ice more quickly off of turnovers and creating more odd man rushes. Hence the Hayes 2-on-1 down low. Hence the Konechny Brassard 2-on-1. Carter Hart's come up big when he's needed to and made clutch saves that he really is just making look easy because of his positioning. Overall, it's really win a period, win the game now coming into the third period, which the Flyers have done more than once this season. So the Flyers have been one of the better third period teams this year, and hopefully they can keep that ball rolling.
Absolutely. I do want to dive into the penalty shot attempt by Scotty Lawton. Obviously, got tripped up on the breakaway. Coming in on the penalty shot, he took it a little bit slower than you might expect for a guy that typically plays a north-south game. He definitely displayed a little bit more of an east-west approach on the penalty shot, but he did get Markstrom moving, and Markstrom did end up having to dive across the crease and kind of do that thing where like they roll up on their hip to kick the pad out there and make the save. So it was a great save by Markstrom. I think it was a solid approach by Lawton. Just not something that you would typically expect from him. Like I said, he is a north-south player, and you don't usually expect him to try and deke a goalie out of his skates.
Well, I think he was going for like the fake. I think he was trying to get him to open up 5-hole, and when that didn't work, he ended up holding onto the puck for a little long and wasn't able to elevate it enough to get it over Markstrom's pads. Which, give him credit, he did a good job at stacking the pads, but Lawton got a little bit too in close.
Oh
The
yeah,
room for
it's
elevation
hard
just wasn't
to
there.
get elevation on the
Yeah.
puck that tight in. Yeah, just something to think about. There was, like I said, the penalty shot attempt there, but we got a brand new game, right? So, like you said, win a period, win a game here. I think if they come out with the same fire that they had in the second, they got a good chance at coming home with 2 points here tonight. And more importantly, splitting the season series with Calgary. This is the last time we're going to see them for the year. So you'd like to at least split it with them. You don't want to see any team sweep you, especially Hall of Fame night in your own building. You definitely don't want to lose that game, right? So hopefully we come in, we get a nice dub here coming back. Kev, you got anything else before we dive back in and watch the third period?
The only last thing I'll say, and I know we're beating a dead horse at this point, but you can't expect to go 0 for 4, 0 for 5 on the power play consistently and win games. So far, we're 0 for 4. So if we get one in the third period, hopefully we can cash in. But ultimately, it's been the downfall, and hopefully we can turn it around and have it be a strong point for us to finish out the game.
So building off of that, I would almost like to see us not draw any penalties. And I know that sounds weird because you obviously want to be on special teams and you want to win the special teams battle, but we've shown that we cannot win the special teams battle. So with that being said, I think that I feel like the power play almost interrupts the ebb and the flow of the game, and it's more of a roadblock that you have to come around than it is a positive at this point, and that just speaks to how piss poor the power play's been to this point.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, listen, we're not drawing momentum off it, that's for sure. We're at the very least with good power plays. If you don't score,
No,
you
it's
can
a roadblock.
you
Our
can
power
you
play's a
can take
roadblock.
momentum because you're getting a lot of good opportunities, but we're not even getting that. We're giving up 2-on-1 shorthanded. So that's literally not helping anybody.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. With that being said, I think we're getting ready to dive back into the third period here. We will be back with you with some post-game coverage, and we're also going to look forward at what's left to come for the week ahead here. Obviously, 2 more games going this week. We will dive into those after the third period. We'll see you guys back on the other side. And just like that, we are back fresh off an overtime victory. And we are still live here at Pikes Pub in beautiful Southampton, Pennsylvania, right off of 2nd Street Pike. Make sure to stop in, grab a beer and a bite, Pikes Pub. So, Kevin, fresh off an overtime victory, our boy, Cam Atkinson, buries the overtime winner. By the way, best part of that play was Couturier shooting the puck. He shot the puck when he had a one-on-one matchup against the goaltender. Rebound, perfect, out to Cam Atkinson, buries it. We saw earlier in this game, that's typically a situation where they would have passed the puck to try and get the pretty goal off the 1T, cross-ice pass. But rather than that, Couturier makes the easy play, the smart play, the only play, and he shoots the puck, which leads to Atkinson burying the rebound.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what you're looking for, right? Couturier shoots looking for the rebound, shoots it low off the pad of Markstrom. Atkinson right there to bury the opportunity. Have to give a big shout out to Carter Hart for being the backbone of this team through this game. To give them credit, after the first period, the Flyers did come out with more desperation and did look like the hungrier team, getting more odd man rushes, getting more people to the net, getting more quality opportunities, and ended up with over 40 shots in this game. And their first overtime victory of the season, which is unlike the Flyers, who have been notorious for going to overtime in the past. Big win. I know Calgary has been, kind of struggling over their last seven, but they're still a good team. They have a very good record. They're top three in their division. So a big win over a team that really just manhandled you the last time you played them. Obviously, the Flyers losing to them 4-0 in the last game. So to come out here, get a big win on home ice on Hall of Fame induction night, not much more you can ask for. Flyers win another game 2-1. Obviously, coming in again, scoring under 3 goals. But when you're getting the team defense and the goaltending that the Flyers are getting,
Emphasis
it's
on the
a
goaltending.
it's a big deal that it's a really big deal that you can win close games against good teams with solid defense and goaltending, even though you might be a little cold offensively. Obviously, Kevin Hayes left the game late in the second period and never returned, so that is a concern. And we'll obviously be getting more updates on him over the next day or two, obviously. But big win, big 2 points, especially with the tough week that we have coming up.
Absolutely. So you hate to see Kevin Hayes not come back, obviously, right? He's only been back for the last couple of games here. Um, Not that we're going to hear a whole lot in the next couple of days because, as we all know, hockey is very generalized in terms of injury reports, upper body, lower body, that whole thing. But I will say, as great as the goaltending was, we did a half decent job at limiting shots. Unfortunately, we didn't limit, the high quality scoring chances, but Calgary only had 34 shots on goal. We actually outshot them 43-34. Which is great. I mean, 43 shots on net. I'm always happy with that. Um, Unfortunately, 0 for 6 on the power play. Um, we did get out hit in this game. You don't like to see that, but Calgary is a fairly physical team led by Matt Tkachuk, who is a very physical player. 15 block shots. Love to see that. Nothing like your boys selling out for the goaltender out in front, blocking shots and keeping rubber off of the pads.
Yeah, there's a lot to say that. And going back to the hits, Rasmus Ristolainen, to give him credit, has been extremely good over the past week or so. He's really stepping up on that second pair and is being someone that Sanheim can lean on so that Sanheim can take more chances. Ristolainen, not only was he laying some hits tonight, but the hits that he was laying were separating the man from the puck and giving the Flyers the opportunity to get control in the defensive zone and get a breakout or to get a clear. He had the big keep in at the blue line on Kevin Hayes' goal. So I was a little critical when they traded for him, when they got rid of the first, their first round pick plus his price tag. But over the last week, he's really come into his own and he's really been a force on the back end, and I will give it to him.
Absolutely. And not to take anything away from him on the offensive end of the ice either. That goal by Hazy does not happen if Ristolainen does not hold that puck in the offensive zone, deliver the pass to Hayes, which obviously set up the goal.
Well, it's what you hoped for when you traded for him. You know, you were hoping you were trading for a guy who could be physical, but not to the point where he's giving up his position on the ice just to make the big hit, which was a big knock on him
Or giving the other
in
team
Buffalo.
copious amounts of
Right.
time on the penalty,
He's
or I'm
being
sorry, on the
smart
power
and
play.
physical. He's being smart and physical, and he's making the right hits at the right time. And because it's not just about hits, when you can separate the man from the puck with your hits to give your team possession of the puck in the defensive zone,
It's huge.
it's a lot different than just being someone out there who's running around looking for a big hit and getting out of position, which can give opportunities to the other team. Which, to his credit, he has not been putting himself out of position to make those hits. He's been making effective hits, which, like I just said, has been separating men from the puck and allowing us to gain control in the defensive zone to get the puck out, which is huge, especially when the second pair is getting more minutes.
Absolutely. So real quick, let's dive into who stood out tonight. Um, Obviously, Carter Hart. I gave you shit for it at the beginning of the show. I said it was the safe pick. It was the water wing pick, and I stand by that. It was still the safe pick. It was still the pick with flotation devices around both arms. It was still the shallow end of the pool's pick. But it was the right pick. Carter Hart absolutely stole this game for us. But I will say, Rasmus Ristolainen definitely stood out to me. Not that he's a player of the game, but he did stand out.
It was nice to see Cam Atkinson get that goal at the end to get him back on the board. He hasn't scored in a few games. He's kind of slowed down a little bit since his hot start. So it was good to see him get back on the board, get him rolling again. Um, you still have players like TK and Farabee who are struggling to put the puck in the net after such a hot start. But really, it's amazing, what like how good goaltending can erase a lot of mistakes and shortcomings that your team has, and that's what we're seeing right now. And as Flyers fans, we're not used to this. We're used to the high scoring games where we score 4 goals but give up 5. And right now we're at a point where we're getting great goaltending and we're only scoring 2 goals a game.
Mind you, we're getting
But
great goaltending from both goaltenders.
And timely goaltending too. It's not just good goaltending. We're getting timely saves where the game is kind of even and in balance. And say Carter Hart hasn't seen a lot of work in the last 10 minutes, and all of a sudden, the whatever team it is has a 2-on-1, and he's able to make that big save to keep the momentum on our side, which is really huge. Which is what we've really asked of him this season after last year. Carter Hart was always going to be the engine that drove this train, and we're seeing that so far. And I think that only means good things because let's face it, the Flyers have too much talent to be, a 2 goal per game team. That number's going to increase. It has to with the talent that we have. So to see that we're getting that solid goaltending and that solid defensive zone defense this early in the season is nothing but positive and only bodes well for us moving forward.
Absolutely. And if you can continue to steal games like this with good goaltending, it's only going to add on to the cachet, right? The money in the bank that you've built up with a solid start to the season in a very difficult Metropolitan Division.
One other good thing I'll notice, that you brought up the Metropolitan Division, the Penguins and the Islanders both lost again tonight. So they fall back
Love to
even
see
further
that.
in the standings. They are the bottom 2 teams in the division right now, which bodes well. The Rangers did pick up a win tonight, so they add another 2 points to jump a little bit more ahead of the Flyers. So we still hold that 4th spot in the division.
I'm still not too worried about the Rangers, though, because they haven't played sound hockey to this point. They've gotten a lot of puck luck. They've found ways to win games that they shouldn't thus far.
The only thing that worries me about the Rangers is if they're a year or two ahead of where they should be with the young talent that they have.
I mean, down the road, I'm definitely worried about the Rangers, down the road, obviously, but not this year, not this season.
Because last year the Rangers were a dark horse team that you had predicted to maybe make a real push for the playoffs. And it seems like that may be more of a thing this year that may come to fruition this year more so than last year. You were on that boat last year, but it seems like, you know, Capo Caco and
Why are you trying to
Alex
bury me
Lafreniere.
on old takes?
Well, no, I'm giving you credit. Like, even though you were a little off last year, they're still a little ahead of schedule right now, being third in division. They're winning a lot of games. They're getting good goaltending and timely scoring, and they have a ton of offensive talent on that team. I don't think
They do, but their offensive talent hasn't been scoring. Lafreniere hasn't done much early this season. Neither has Cabo Caco. I mean, that's a first overall pick and a second overall pick in subsequent draft years that haven't really given them much thus far this year. I mean, obviously, Stroman is going to continue to be the player that he is. Um,
Panarin, Zibanejad. You got Chris Kreider over there. You have Adam Fox, who just won the Norris Trophy. You have two young goaltenders in Igor Shesterkin and
he's been the
yeah,
real standout
Shesterkin
star
has
on the
been
Rangers.
very good for them, and Gorgiev has also been very good. So they're coming into their own. You know, they've been a team that we've been talking about for the past few years who are going to be a real problem once they start to get a little older and get their young talent going, which outside of Kako and Lafreniere, it seems like they're doing. Uh, Andre Miller, who the Flyers passed on 2 drafts ago, is on fire now with about 8 goals on the season, and they're a team who's, like I said, outside of their first overall draft picks the last 2 years, have really been performing well. They're getting the goaltending and they're getting the timely scoring. When you have guys like Mika Zibanejad and Panarin, it's going to be hard pressed to not find offensive opportunities.
No, I agree. But getting away from the Rangers, let's dive back into this game here. Overall, who would you say is the player of the game other than Carter Hart?
I think I'd have to go Ristolainen. No forward specifically stuck out to me that was just all over the ice. Uh, Ristolainen made a lot of nice defensive plays in his own end to get control of the puck when the Flyers might have been hemmed in. He had the great keeping at the blue line that led to the Hayes goal. So outside of Carter Hart, I'd probably go with Ristolainen.
Not going to hate that pick there. I agree 100%. So that's all I got really on this game, unless you got any other final thoughts.
The only other real listen, I hate to say it so much. We won the game 2-1, but we went 0 for 6 on the power play. If our power play was just even a little bit effective at the moment, we'd be such a more dangerous like good teams are not going 0 for 6 on their power play. It's just not happening. And that is a direct correlation to our goals per game dipping off. You can be a great team 5 on 5, but when you're literally not scoring on your power play at all, it's going to have an effect.
You said all I have to say as far as the power play is concerned,
The
but
PK looks great. I will
I'm
say
not
that
gonna end this segment on a negative note. We got out of here with 2 points. We gave up a loser point, but the bright side is the loser point went to a team in the Western Conference. It means nothing in terms of the Eastern Conference playoff picture. We got 2 points on Hall of Fame night. We won in overtime for Tockett, for Holmgren, and that's going to put a bow on tonight's game.
one last thing I'll say real quick. Coming up for the rest of the week, the Flyers do play the Tampa Bay Lightning on Thursday and the Boston Bruins on Saturday, both at home during this 3-game homestand during the week. So those are two really big games. Tampa Bay not having the best start to their season. Boston also not having the best start, but two more than capable teams coming into Philadelphia. And that's 4 really big points that we can pick up.
Absolutely. So, with that being said, I think it's high time we do tonight's raffle, the giveaway. Once again, it's a $25 Visa gift card, Flyers long sleeve sweatshirt, 2 Flyers shot glasses that you're going to be doing shots with the mayor out of, and we're going to do the drawing now. Kevin, if you could please shake up the drawings. He's figuring out how to open it. Kevin, hand me the winning number.
I'm too pickled to speak the number.
Yes, you are. The winning number is 368 263. 368 263. Oh, baby, it's our buddy Andrew. He's been here twice that we've been here at Pikes Pub. Andrew, you get to do a shot with the mayor of Jawn Street. How do you feel? Beautiful. All right, so we're going to get you set up with the $25 gift card. The shirt is yours to take now. What's that? Visa gift card. You can use it anywhere. Beautiful.
Well, even better, we forgot to buy the gift card, so I will just be vending you $25 cash or whatever you want to use it for. Will work. Yeah.
Perfect. Yep, we'll get you set up with that. Matter of fact, let's get these shots going now. We'll do them for the camera. What am I gonna pick another number for? Yeah, we'll get 2 shots. Your choice. They're on me.